Greetings, peace, and love. Once again, welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition podcast, aka the NEPPT podcast. If you're viewing for the first time, please check out our YouTube channel. It's NEPPC. It's on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel as we grow our subscription up, our subscribers that is up. And we have the opportunity to have resources to do our work, because this work needs to be carried on. As you know, the last episode we dedicated to MUTULU SHAKUR, and this one we dedicated to MUTULU SHAKUR. For those who don't know, my name is Frank Brown. I'm with my brother and former political prisoner,
Islam.
And this is the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition podcast. So as we continue to talk about MUTULU, it's very important that we get this idea of him being home circulating to the community, to our people, to our nation, and then make sure that everybody shares and subscribe to the channel, and go to MUTULUSHAKUR.com and donate, and encourage your family to donate. Tomorrow, so many of us engage in this this holiday, so-called Thanksgiving, you know, with a questionable origin regarding the questionable origin depending on who's telling the story. But we know that the victims of the brutality of the oppressor, the colonizer, they understand what really happened that time, and they have a right to tell their story. But me and Abdul Haq,
day of mourning, right?
Yes, the day of mourning, right? Exactly. Yeah. And that term Thanksgiving is actually a term that came from the brutalizer, which as certain people who brought back the skulls of the indigenous people were given a reward for their deed. It was they was given thanks for giving that trophy, right, of evidence of brutality. So I think that we need to keep that in mind when we're out here engaging in this. I know some of us, like myself, I just use it as an opportunity to talk to my family, come together, and raise the awareness about our political prisoners. Because as me and the brother Abdul Haq Islam was talking about, the political prisoners were fighting this brutality. And they said that they're going to go all out. They're going to take a position. They're going to take a stand. And they did what they did to free their people, to liberate their nation, and the state that they were fighting back, those in power that they were fighting back, responded. And they responded harshly. Not with just sentences, but revenge sentences. And I think that that's what we need to focus on. Abdul Haq?
Peace and love, all power to the people. Yes, we are happy to announce Brother MUTULU was granted parole. The date set for him to be free is December 16th. You know, this is a brother that's very, very well loved, you understand, among the people at large, and particularly among the most advanced politically, you know, those who fight and stand up principally, you know, against the biggest mass murderers in world history. You know, Brother MUTULU, very, very energetic fighter, a brother that would stand up to anything, a brother who was my cellmate for a while in MCC, you know. So the brother is coming home soon and is going to need some assistance, because you know, you don't never leave the penitentiary, you know, economically secure, you know. So he's going to need some love from the masses of the people, you know. And like Brother Frank just mentioned, tomorrow is so-called Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is a day that revolutionaries can grab, you know, and wield like a mighty weapon against the enemy. The enemy has used this day, Thanksgiving, as the heart of the myth-making of American benevolence, you know, in spite of the history of the opposite, you know. In martial arts class, we learn to hit the enemy where it hurts the most, you know. And this day of Thanksgiving is coming up, and other holidays is coming soon after, you know, is used in the word of another critic, you understand, to distort and to torture real history. History is an atomic bomb that create many, many, many millions of our people, you understand, understanding the significance of the red, black, and green, you understand, understanding the philosophies of people like Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, you understand, understanding, you know, that we have the right to have 1,000% self-confidence, that we can be independent, that we can rule our own destinies, that we can control our own national resources, you know, and you know, this is a day that coming up tomorrow is a day that revolutionaries must wield as a mighty, mighty weapon. You understand, with a magnified a political and a fighter instinct, you know, will to win. You know, to understand that as we give the history, the true history of this beast is like an atomic bomb. I've been fortunate enough in recent history to read 3 very, very lengthy books to tell the history, to tell the truth about these folks. This is one right here called the To Govern the Globe. It tells how nations like France, Germany, America, England, you know, how their commerce, their economic power was the main ingredient in building this, was violence, was murder. You understand? Heartless, cold-blooded murder, you know. And like we mentioned, it's a day of mourning for the Indians, you know. And when the Indians, the so-called Native Americans, when they greeted and helped the settlers to survive in the wilderness, to survive the cold, cold winters, how did the settlers show thanksgiving to them? You know, they use the word thanksgiving, you know, almost like a religious principle, that you know, you are thankful to God, you know, you're grateful for the blessings that the Creator put down, you know, sent down on you, you know. So they use that term almost in that context. You understand that they are a very, very benevolent and kind and loving people who believe in human rights, you know, when the truth is that on every continent on earth, they spread mass murder, you understand, against dark-skinned people. And this was the basis of their commerce, of their trade, how they advanced in all these areas, of their politics, you know, their rule by law, you understand. All these things, you understand, was made possible by genocide. You know, Frank was just mentioning how they celebrate genocide. I have a note right here that by 1937, Massachusetts Governor John Winthrop called for Thanksgiving for genocide. You know, we have the celebrated George Washington, who called the Indians wild beasts. Jefferson said that they're all savages and they will all be killed. We will kill them all. That's what Jefferson said. You know, the heroes, the people that tell our children are heroes. You know, we must tell our children the truth. You understand? And the real history, this true history, you know, this detailed history of what they did. You understand? In the West, you know, when the Native Americans showed the settlers how to acquire a fur trade, you know, showed them the way through the wilderness. They showed their gratitude in that instance by murdering off the Native Americans. You understand? Roosevelt, you know, Roosevelt called for the whitening of the continent. Said it's a civilizing process. He said that he's not going to say that 10 out of 10 of them should be killed, but 9 out of 10 of them you know, being killed is good enough. So this is really what happened in America, you know, and you know, we got a lot when our people, when multitudes and multitudes and multitudes of our people understand this, you know, we can see you know, project that millions and millions and millions of our folks, you understand, will come into the revolutionary ranks. You know, those who know that we do not need, you know, the enemy to show us the way. You understand that we cannot trust the enemy's words and the enemy's fake, you understand, humanity, how they at times want to pretend to be human beings to take us off point, you know, to put us into some Uncle Tom stuff or some do nothing stuff or some scared to death stuff. You understand that when more and more of our people, you understand, become acquainted with the power of real history, you understand, we can increase the ranks of Black revolutionaries, of those who are sure, you understand, who know deep, deep down in our bones, you understand, that we're going to have true freedom, not some freedom that is defined by the enemy to tell, you know, that say it's free, you understand, but for us to determine our own freedom, you know, to determine our own destiny, and not to have somebody else sitting up that makes decisions that make your lifespan 20 years less than a white man's lifespan. No, you know, we can take control of our own destiny, you know, and like I say, history is a mighty, mighty weapon in that process. You know, this is one book, like I said, I'm almost through with this, To Govern the Globe. You know, another one, the Counter-Revolution of 1776 by Dr. Gerald Horne. You know, The Broken Heart of America. These are very, very thick books full of true history, you understand, that we can use, you understand, to deliver death blows to the myths, you know, that keep our people, you understand, in a do nothing mode, you understand, and which we need to launch our hearts, you understand, into activism, you understand, in the spirit of winning, you understand, and taking over, you know, totally courageous.
Absolutely, brother.
You did.
And one of the things that you talked about the brutality of this system of those who are empowered. And one of the things I want to do is I want to read this article. Well, not read the entire article, but there was a point that stood out to me. And this is in the Amsterdam News. It said elder activist MUTULU SHAKUR granted parole. And this is and the second paragraph, it says, we now find your medical condition renders you so infirm of mind and body that you are no longer physically capable of committing any federal, state, or local crime. This was wrote by the Parole Commission in a letter filed by Assistant U.S. Attorney Cheryl Morgan last Thursday, right? So this was dated, so that was last Thursday, and this came out November 17th, 2022. I don't know the exact time where that letter was written, but if you look at the viciousness in the letter, right, and you think about the fact that we made a statement that these are not just sentences, these are revenge sentences. So now he returns back to his family and his extended family in a state that they feel that it's okay for them. Whether he has another 6 months to live, or another year, or another 2 years, they're saying that this is how he's going to be to his family, and they're satisfied with the time that they had received from him, which actually, if it was a so-called correctional facility, then how long did it take for him to be corrected and then be brought back to society? So evidently these were revenge sentences. And that's why when we hear that statement, that viciousness in that letter, we have to look at that and become outraged. Right, and we have to commit ourselves further to doing work on our political prisoners, and we have to understand the seriousness in which we have to do this work, because every minute counts. That's why we say make time for political prisoners, because they're doing time for you, and we have to understand the seriousness at hand, and we have to make that commitment. That's why tomorrow, when you're out with your family, think about our political prisoners, bring them up in a discussion. if that's the route that you choose to do, as far as going out and being with your family. If you decide to stay home and just relax on your day off, make time to think about political prisoners. We put out a podcast every Wednesday, half an hour. We commit ourselves to at least half an hour out of our day for our political prisoners, and we are struggling to free our political prisoners. But we know that we have to commit ourselves to that struggle, because we have to confront the issues that we don't like. Because anything that that you have a problem with, if you confront it, you have an opportunity to change it. And you don't have no opportunity to change it if you don't confront it. So our political prison will die in prison if we don't fight to bring them home, right? So we say free all our political prisoners. Donate to MUTULUSHAKUR.com. Get others involved. We all can do something. I know I was just recently looking at the Facebook, and it said that you can actually get money off of reels. So I'll continue to put out reels on our political prisoners. From that, possibly generate some money, use that money to further this political prisoner work. The more money, the more resources you have, the more creativity, more creative you can be. I got a number of ideas that I have, but they definitely going to require financial backing. So we say we have to have gratitude for our political prisoners. We got to get organized. We got to make a commitment to our political prisoners. These are revenge sentences. These are not just sentences. How do you sentence a man to 60 years to life in a so-called correctional facility? You say that the society is a humane society, that we are practicing humanity, that we live in a civilization, the root word being civil, and that meaning peace. If these are so-called peaceful society or humane society, then, you know, how do you deal with your criminals, your so-called criminals? How do you rehabilitate them if you are in that field of rehabilitation, as you would say? When I talk about you, I'm talking about the state, as the state would say. So we have to look at that, and that has to be what we determine is going to motivate us to do this type of work, because our political prisoners deserve to be free, deserve to be home. They were courageous enough to stand up, and we have to study them and learn what led them to do what they did regarding being courageous, regarding accepting the challenge to free our people, because that's not an easy job. It's a job that requires commitment, sacrifice. Your family might have an opposing view. They might challenge your view, and you have to deal with them in a respectful way. And you have to ask them, if I don't do this, what should I do? Some people might try to tell you, oh, you can't save everybody, save yourself. You can't do anybody any good if you can't help yourself. I don't know what that quite means, because what does it mean to help yourself? Do it mean I need food, clothing, and shelter? Or does it mean I need the biggest supply of food, the biggest shelter, and the finest clothes? What does that mean? You know, that has to be defined clearly, and that has to be made simple so people understand what they're chasing, because these are ideas that you have been indoctrinated into, and then you made a decision whether you would accept the idea or not. And that decision was based on what deeds or what practices you partake in. So that's why when we talk about our political prisoners, we're talking about people who had a clear understanding. Brothers and sisters had a clear understanding that there were some ideas that they had to stand up and challenge. The idea that Black people need to be treated the way that they've been treated for so long was unacceptable to them. That idea was removed from their psyche. And they decided that they were going to organize, make a commitment to an organization, establish an organization, and take some action, a planned action. So Abdul Haq, based on what people I've been dealing with, right, as far as being told that the system operates a certain way or the system is just, when we see these revenge sentences occur on our political prisoners, how should that infuriate the people?
Well, you know, it infuriates us in many ways. You know, one in that they are trying to run a long white supremacist con game on the people. You understand? They insult us, insult our intelligence. You understand? Telling us one thing when the facts, and we research them, are the exact opposite. You know, this whole a fairy tale about the benevolence and the hunger for human rights that this enemy has. You understand? When you know, he in fact marched west and murdered between 95 and 99% of the Indians. You know, murdered hundreds and millions of black people. You know, invaded Africa. You understand? That corporations is behind the murder of 20 million black people in the Congo, you know, extracting valuable resources like coltan, uranium, you understand, from that area of the land, down and dirty with apartheid. You know, when we read the real history of what happened, you understand, this lights a fire in us, you understand, to give this knowledge to our babies, give this knowledge to other people, an understanding of how the system works, a system analysis, you understand, of how blood, how blood, sweat, tears, misery, pain, you understand, torture, you understand, were main ingredients in the wealth that this nation has built, you know, for very, very selfish few, you understand, and to increase the demand and the fight in the people for reparations, you understand, to take back from the criminal what the criminal took from us, you understand, and that make a whole lot of sense. That's righteous, it's principle, you understand. So we're gonna keep on telling the truth to our youth, you understand, straight ahead. You know, we call for the freedom of all political prisoners. You know, they say MUTULU is not capable, but he is very, very capable, you understand, in terms of the love that that black people have, young black people have for this brother, you understand, to stop this violent scourge, you understand, in our black nation, you understand. Indeed, crime is something that was produced by capitalism, the rule of the jungle of capitalism, the bloodthirsty, heartless, you understand, vicious, murderous nature of capitalism, you understand, and us living in a culture like this. So we need brothers like MUTULU and the rest of the political prisoners who are yet to be free to raise this type of consciousness, you understand, to really put power in black people, you understand, and you know, to raise up black power and make black power be an atomic bomb, you understand. And like I said, a great endeavor in that way is to tell the true history, you understand, of an enemy, you understand, who wants us to believe that they are friends.
Absolutely, and I think that needs to be understood clearly. That enemy of ours is definitely has to be clear, right? An enemy of ours, we have to identify. This way, we don't engage in no form of liberalism.
And we have to Train Shimmering said, be clear on friends and enemies. And our political prisoners are our friends, our comrades, and our allies.
Exactly, because if we're not clear, then we let somebody take us on a path to anywhere but where we need to go. And that's when these election times come, we ought to be mindful of what these politicians are talking about. And during this time of the year, we have to watch out what we are engaging in, right? Because if you come together with your family to utilize this as a time to come with your family, deal with that and deal with the origins of Thanksgiving, so-called Thanksgiving, and deal with the sufferings of indigenous people, deal with the suffering of people of color, make this a time to talk about political prisoners, say that, you know, I know we are here together gathering, and we are happy that we have an opportunity to come together, but, you know, we never got anything easy. Everything that black people, or so-called black people and people of African origin have received came through pain, suffering, tears, and blood. And we have to understand that, and we have to really identify that in a way where we're not forgetting what happened and being grateful, expressing gratitude with how we come together, and we teach our children about, you know, be thankful for what you have because somebody sacrificed for that. And that's directly dealing with the political prisoner, because as the political prisoners are removed from their family, right? And what I just read, they said you're no longer of a certain mind, right? They were able to remove him from his family for almost 4 decades. And during that time, he was physically, not only physically restrained from in encounter, having encounters with his family, but he was socially refrained from having encounters with his people, his nation. And that is torturous in itself, because you're not able to have be hands-on with certain things. You might be able to talk to them and convey your ideas via telephone or a letter, but you know, it's not the same when you get to touch your brother, laugh with your brother, and walk and witness the environment firsthand, engaging with your 5 senses. And I think that that's the brutality of mass incarceration. That's the brutality of these long prison sentences, because there is no agenda of this so-called correction. It's an agenda to carry out an example, a revenge sentence. Like, I dare you challenge us, the state. I dare you say that our ideas and our way of doing things is incorrect. And because you stood up, because you challenged us, you're going to be punished. And you're going to be punished for as long as we say you need to be punished. When we deem that you're okay to go back into society, that's when we're going to bring you to your people and let them have you at the way we want them to have you. But we accept MUTULU, open arms. We open arms. We accept MUTULU with love and affection. And we're going to continue to put out the word that, you know, free all our political prisoners, free all our freedom fighters. Don't let our political prisoners die in prison. Don't ignore them. Include them in all your discussions. Anytime you talk about anything dealing with the oppression or the mistreatment of a nation, you have to talk about those who fought back, our martyrs, our political prisoners. That has to be inserted into that dialogue, because people have to get that fuel, get that fire to stand up, to be outraged, said, oh, wow, you know, you did that to that person, right? And that could potentially happen to me, but I'm not afraid. I have an obligation because I practice love, and love is passive. I mean, love is not passive, it is active. You have to get busy. You have to engage. You have to take action. You have to stand up, stick out your chest, hold up your head. Be prepared to fight, short term and long term. Because if you don't pay one way, you're going to pay another, right? So I think it's best to stand up and fight and fall down and get back up and fight harder than to just lay down and do any and everything somebody tells you to do. So Abdul Haq, what's your view on the continuous need to fight?
Well, you know, I'm with the people I deal with every day. You know, we have a fight culture, you understand? We have our meetings, you understand? We are 1,000% sure that we're gonna win. It's an atmosphere of straight up confidence, you know, and this is the type of attitude that needs to be alive and well in our folks. You know, we gonna fight and we're gonna win. You understand? We know how to do it. Historically, we know how these battles have been won in the past. You understand? And we're gonna build on that. You know, and you know, I'm just in a fight right now, about to come out of. You know, I'm still in the hospital, as some of y'all might know. And they saying that next week, maybe around like Tuesday, I'm coming home. You know, I was in here for open heart surgery. Here's my heart right here. You understand? Y'all go see my heart right here. And you know, my heart is in the movement, and my heart is full of fight. You understand? You know, my heart is a fist. You know, so we need our people, the hearts. And 40 million black people need to be a fist fighting this beast. You understand? Taking this beast, you understand, where it needs to go, which is the garbage can of history, you know, and to replace it with something which fulfills human needs. And this is what political prisoners like MUTULU Shakur was all about, you understand? And you know, and you know, like I say, Thanksgiving is coming up, a day of hypocrisy. You know, Halloween is coming up, a day when
Halloween's
they,
over, man.
oh yeah, well, yeah, it's, oh, sorry. It's over, a day when they worship the devil, you know, and these other time, Christmas, the drunkest day of the year, you know, and you know, they use these to kind of sugarcoat their genocide, you know, and we ain't gonna allow that to happen, you know. So stand up and fight, you understand? Valiant, you understand, with steel in your backbone, you understand? Have no fear, you know, be 1,000% sure that we gonna win, you know. And what's the call? Free them all.
Exactly. So free them all. Don't let our political prisoners die in prison. There's a fundraiser going on December 10th. Please pass that, circulate that, make reels, make money off of those reels and donate them to MUTULUSHAKUR.com. Let's make that happen. Let's make that possible. It's nothing we can't do as long as we're organized. What's the call?
Free them all.
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 Don't let political prisoners die in prison. Please share with at least 10 people. Peace.
That's right. Peace.